In last class, we talked about the epidermis, which is the superficial layer of the skin. The epidermis is the epithelial tissue. It contains 4 different cells and 5 different layers. And the epidermis is only the top layer of the skin. The second layer of the skin is the dermis, and as you can see in this picture, the yellowish whitish layer here is a dermis. Okay, the wave line here separates the epidermis layer and the dermis layer, top and bottom. Okay, the dermis layer is a strong, flexible connective tissue connect the epidermis and the hypodermal layer, which is adipose tissue. Okay, and this is connective tissue. Think about the connective tissue again. What do we have in the connective tissue? Cells. First, there are cells in the connective tissue. There are cells in all the tissue. And in the connective tissue, there are always matrix, which are non-living extracellular thing. Okay, and the cell in the connective tissue here, we have those fibroblasts. Okay, fibroblasts are the cell will secrete fiber and make the fibers in this layer. Okay, and the fibers in the matrix will bind our body together, bind the skin, the epidermis, dermis, and also the organs inside the skin together. Okay, and also in this connective tissue, there are other microfish and master cells and other white blood cells. Those are the cells which are important for our immune response. And those cells together protect our body by biological means. And compared to the epidermis layer, which just form a waterproof layer on top of our skin and protect our body by physical means. Okay, so those are the dermis layer. In these layers, we have nerve fibers that will help you to sense the environment, sense the pain, sense the touch and itchy feelings. All those are collected by the nerve fibers in your dermis layer of the skin. And also you have blood vessels, like in this picture, the red and blues, and also lymphatic vessels. Those vessels bring blood and lymph to your skin. Okay, so it brings the nutrients to your skin cells and bring the metabolic waste from your skin cells. And at the same time, in the dermis layer, you see the hair follicles and also oil gland and the sweat glands. Okay, so in this dermis layer, you can separate it to 2 layers. One is the papillary layer, which is a shallow layer on top, and also the bottom reticular layers. Top layer here. Papillary layer are named because they have those dermal papillae. Here, those are the papillae. Those layers just on the top of the dermis is a areolar connective tissue. Familiar about this picture? That's areolar connective tissue. What is areolar connective tissue? It's a loose connective tissue. Remember that? So in this picture, what you can see is the collagen fibers and also the very dark, what fiber they are? Elastic fiber. Did you get it right? So these 2 different fibers give the skin some shape. Normally you will find the areolar connective tissue in the soft tissue, like a liver, like a spleen or kidney, right? So this areolar connective tissue in our skin, in the papillary layer here, is very important because it's a loose connective tissue. So it allows those white blood cells, like a phagocyte, will just go inside it and move around to patrol, to clean up those microorganisms like bacteria. So that is a dermal papillary layer. This layer have those papillae, that's how it named, papillary layer. So those structures are called papillae, it's just pap-like projections. So the dermal papillae here, as you can see, it increases the area of our papillary layer, increase the surface between the connective tissue and the epithelial tissue. At this layer, we have a blood vessels, those capillary lobes, so it gives those nutrients to our epithelial tissues. Remember, epithelial tissue have no blood vessel in it. That's for all the epithelial tissue. Blood vessel will not go into the epidermis, so all the nutrients for epidermis will receive from the blood vessels of the papillary layer. So with the structure of a papillae, you just get more area to get blood from. Okay, so that's how especially for the basal layer of the epidermis, it will need a lot of nutrient and also oxygen to help it during the mitosis. So it's all coming from the papillary layer. And at the same time, those nerve ending of the Meissner capsule, remember there's a touch receptors in the epidermis, which called a Tarko cell. Okay, those cells, just the sensor part is in our epidermis, and the nerve part, the mesos corpuscles, are in our epidermis, in our dermis layer. And at the same time, you see those yellowish fiber, those are our pain receptor, those are the free nerve ending. That's how you sense pain. So the more papillae you get, more sense receptor you will get there. Okay, so that's for the derm papillae. So the papillary layer are in the middle of your skin, which below the epidermis, and which is the superficial layer of the dermis. So you shouldn't see it because it's covered by the epidermis. But however, in some part of your body, especially on the part that have a thick skin, those papillary layer organized in a very organized way, and you will see them because the thick skin just make a copy of those papillary layer, and so on the epidermal layer you also see the structure, also see those ribs, and you call those epidermal ridges. And those ridges give you a better friction, so sometimes you call it a friction ridge. It enhances gripping ability. For example, your fingertip, okay, you just grip something and it prevents things to drop off. And also those places, because it increases the area of the surface, so give you a better sense of touch. Try to touch the grill next time if you go to an elevator, or even the grill on our door, on our classroom door. Try to touch it, read it with your fingertip, and then try to touch it with the back of your hand. So that will give you this different feeling, and only if you use your fingertip, you will read the braille, although maybe you don't really understand it, but you can feel those dots. But however, with the back of your hand, you basically just cannot feel how many dots there are. Okay. So all those, for example, those are pattern of fingerprint, those are one kind of an epidermal ridge, or we call it a friction ridge. So the dermis, so here is our skin, it's not just dermis, the whole skin layers. So on top of it is our epidermis, from the top to here, those are all the epidermis. From here, and there's a 5 different layers of the epidermis. This picture kind of marked it wrong, the whole thing is epidermis. The stratum cornea is just a superficial layer of the epidermis. That's how they count it in our textbook. Okay, And you can see here the bottom are our dermis, and the top layer is a papillary dermis, which is just very shallow, very thin layer here. And those are the areolar connective tissue. So here, pay attention to this layer, please. Those are our reticular dermis. Just with the knowledge, just think. When we learn those connective tissue, if you see a picture like that, what type of connective tissue it is? Is that a reticular connective tissue? No, it's not a reticular. Reticular connective tissue looks like a tree, like a dark forest. That's how we name it. Remember, with all those weird and scary tree branch shape. Here, that is a dense, irregular connective tissue. Okay, so although we call that layer as a reticular layer, but remember, it's not reticular connective tissue. It's a dense, irregular connective tissue. Just see from this picture, it's irregular dense. So in a dense, irregular connective tissue, do you still remember what type of a matrix in this tissue? Collagen fibers. Collagen fibers are in those irregular dense, and the reason we call it irregular is because those collagen are not parallel to each other. So it will help our skin, give it the ability to resist the pulling from all different directions, and it will not tear off. And at the same time, in fact, in those tissues, there are some elastic fibers as well, although not very shown clearly in this picture. We do have some elastic fibers to give your skin elasticity. Okay, so those are our dermis, 2 layers, papillary and dense irregular. Okay. So in our body, although we see those collagen fibers are in all different directions, but in fact, most of them still have the rough, large direction and parallel to our skin surface. And from your skin, you cannot see it just from outside, cannot see the direction, cannot see the fibers functions. But however, underneath it, we know because we already dissect people and in history already, so you know how the fibers goes. Those information are very important for surgeons because during a surgery, if you want to cut certain parts open to do some surgery on the liver or remove the appendix, all those require you to open the body wall. And how will you cut the skin? If you can make the cut just parallel to the fiber, then you just minimize the damage to the fiber. Does that make sense? So you just cut less fibers, although you cut the skin open, but you will not cut the fiber because you just separate them. And that will minimize those damage to the skin and will allow the wound to heal more easy, more quickly, and more readily. So this map here, well, I will not ask you what the fiber go or like the direction, but you see those fiber, it gives you the idea. That's why if you get an appendectomy, why the appendectomy wound is always look like this. That's appendix somewhere here. It's always go inward and go downward because the surgeon wants to make sure that he doesn't cut the fiber. Okay, so those are the cleavage lines, which is important for the surgeons. Okay, and that's come from the reticular layer because the fibers in the reticular layers have the rough direction as in this map shows. Okay. Alright, so this is our, well, we can see it's a homework. We already learned the epidermis and also dermis. In the epidermis, there are 5 different layers for different cells. In the dermis layer, we have 2 different layers and multiple cells there as well. So just Make a chart again, organize those information, and list the name of the layers and what type of tissue they are, what are their functions, and what cells are there, and what are the cell functions. Okay, so this is your just your homework, and that help you to organize the information you learned so far. Okay. On our skin, there are different markings. For example, the flexure lines. Flexure lines are absolutely normal, and what you see in this picture, those are the flexure lines, which are different from wrinkles, but they are formed kind of similar. But for all the flexure lines, it's important for all your flexions. What is flexions? Do you still remember what we learned in our lab? This means the bending of a joint. Those flexure lines are normally only seen at your joint. Because you move your joint, then the bending of your joint requires your skin to give it extra space and gap to move it. So those flexure lines are just formed when you keep on bending your skin, bending your joint, and also bending your skin. Another skin markings is the stretch mark or striae. The striae, as you see in this picture here, those are normally caused by the tissue inside the skin, beneath the skin, just grows so fast. And it's too fast that skin cannot grow as fast as the tissue underneath it. So like for example, the pregnant woman, the baby just grew faster than the skin goes. Then the skin itself gets tear up. Well, what happened is the dermal layer gets tear up, and we form the scar, which can form much quicker than the skin itself. So the fibrous tissue come and just suture everything together. So what's left is more like scar-like tissue. Those are the striae. Okay, and well, not just for the pregnant woman. Every time if one part of your body just grew too fast that your skin cannot follow, it will form some stretch mark. It may happen in men and children. Well, anytime if you just grew, especially if you gain weight too fast. Okay, and the third skin marking is a blister. Everyone have a blister before, especially if you wear a pair of shoes that not fit too well. It normally just give you a blister like this. It's normally formed by due to acute and short-term trauma and form a small pocket filled with fluid. And this pocket is located, pocket of fluid is located between the epidermal layer and also the dermal layer. So it's between the epithelial and connective tissue. That's why there's no blood in the fluid here. Every time you get a blister, it's translucent, transparent, but there never be blood in it. Where are the blood vessels in your skin? Where is the blood vessel in your skin? The dermal layer. The blister is above the dermal layer, so that's why there's no blood inside the blister. Okay. So those are the common skin markings you will see on the skin. Different people have different skin color, and those skin color are mostly determined by our genes, by the genetic material, the DNAs. Our skin the skin colors are from 3 different pigments: melanin, keratin, and hemoglobin. The melanin is the only pigment that's made by your skin. It's normally the darkest color, like black and red. Okay, it made in your skin and give your skin color, give your lip color, and in fact your eye color is from the melanin, and also your hair color. Okay, and those are generated in your skin. Keratin is a yellowish color and it comes from carrot. It comes from carrot, it's from diet. Normally you eat it and you have it presented onto your skin. Hemoglobin, hemo for blood. Hemoglobin is very important protein inside your blood cell to carry oxygen around your body, and that gives you a pinkish or red color of your skin. Okay, so those are the three different skin color of your skin. Three different pigments that give you a skin color. The first one is melanin. Melanin is the most important determining your skin color because it's the darkest one. Okay, it's made from the melanocyte. Hope you still remember that. The melanocyte is in our basal layer, in the stratum basale of your epidermis. Okay, the melanocyte, they secrete the melanin into our whole epidermal layers. Okay, you can think it as a small sunscreen tube inside your skin, and every time if you get UV light go through your skin, those small sunscreen tubes will squeeze and push those sunscreen inside your skin layers. Okay, in different people, no matter what kind of skin color you have, we have a same relative cell numbers in all people, no matter what kind of race you are. The number of melanocytes are about the same. But however, the ability or the speed you make your own melanin is different. That is determined by your gene, majority just by your gene. Okay, and then second thing determining how much melanin you make is by how much UV you get. If you have a lot of UV exposure, you just get a darker skin color. That's why we call it, you get tanning, right? That's a tanning here. Okay, and different people depends on your gene. You may make different type of melanin. Some people make a more like a black and a brownish melanin. Some people make a yellow reddish melanin. Okay, all those are controlled by your genes, genetic control. First is genetic control, and second is controlled by UV. Okay, and some people may have a pigment part on their body. It's the accumulation of the melanin, like freckles. Those are melanin. Okay, it's all because of the melanin. And sometimes a person with a disorder, albinism, and albinism disorder is a problem that the person cannot make melanin. Okay, they have the melanocyte, but however, the enzyme that produce melanin is muted, and they just cannot produce melanin by their skin. So in that case, the one who have a albinism will just have a low pigment in the skin color and hair, and also their eye and the lip. They just do not have those pigments because the enzyme make melanin is get defect. Okay, and the second and third skin pigment is keratin and hemoglobin. Keratin is a yellowish pigment. Okay, most obvious in palm and sole, and that's normally come from your diet. Okay, what you eat from the carrot just go into your skin. Okay, and also other colors, some other fruit or like vegetable, it may have those keratin in it as well, and that's very important and good. It's very good for your skin health and also for your vision because it may convert into vitamin A. Okay, but however, the yellowish color of Asians normally from melanin together with the keratin together. Okay, some melanin of we produce is more like a brown and yellowish melanin. Okay, and also especially for your cheek, if you just didn't make your own blush on it, you do have some pinkish hue on your skin, especially for the very healthy skin. Okay, those come from your blood. Okay, because your skin is a thin layer of epidermis on top of some blood vessel. That's where the epidermis, where the blood vessel in the dermis layer are. Okay, right below the epidermis. So for a healthy skin, you will see those blood vessels And if those blood vessels dilate, the skin will kind of turn red. If those blood vessel constrict, then the skin will tend to pale. Okay, and those pinkish color, this pinkish hue, is from the blood, from the hemoglobin. That's the pigment in the blood. The three different pigments we just talked about are in the healthy skin, and that give you normal skin color. But however, in some conditions, your skin may turn to different hue, and from those different skin tone, the doctor can tell what may go wrong inside the patient's body. For example, if somebody just turned blue, if it turned blue, that means the blood in their body do not carry enough oxygen. Okay, the blood on their skin do not have enough oxygen, that will turn the skin to blue. That's a cyanosis. That color is come from blood, but the blood, the hemoglobin, do not have enough oxygen in it. And the second condition, if there's too much blood in the skin, just make the skin become red, erythema. And that condition make your skin red because too much blood, either because of fever or hypertension, inflammation or allergy, anything that make the blood vessel on your skin just dilate, and that will make the skin red. And on the other hand, well, if your blood vessel dilate on your skin, then it turn red. If it's constrict, if your blood vessel constrict on your skin, then it's turn pale. Blood are pushed inside you. Just everything in skin is pushed inside. So that's how you get pale normally, because of you need those blood inside your body due to anemia, which you do not have enough blood in your body, or low blood pressure, sometimes even fear or anger. Your face may turn white if you feel feral, and on that condition, you just have all those blood go into your muscle, go into your heart. Okay, when you get fear, the reason you turn pale is because the blood go into your muscle, and you are ready to fight or just flee. Okay, so those are the skin colors. And another condition, like if the skin turn yellow, called jaundice, that is a disorder of liver. So the color, the pigment from the bile just go to different part of the body, so on the surface of skin, and also the eye white turn yellow. And other condition like bronze, and that's normally a disorder of the steroid hormones. And also if it's a bruise, that's normally the blood start get a cloud beneath the skin. Okay, if you just knock on the wall or just have your leg kick on a table and then just happen to have the bruise, it's all because of the broken of the capillary. It's a broken of the capillary vessels, and just have this cloud blood beneath it. Okay, so those are the skin color that will tell you about what's going wrong in the body. Okay, so let's see a few questions. The principal role of melanin is to, what is the function of the melanin? Principal role of melanin. I will give you a few seconds. The most important role of melanin is to protect from UV, protect your body from UV light. Okay. Well, it do give you a healthy tan look, just like A, but more important, the melanin is used as a sunscreen. Keep the body cool, that's not for melanin, that's for the sweat gland. And provide a waterproof layer, that's the epithelial tissue, those are the epidermis. Next question. Which three pigments contribute to skin color? Skin color pigments. The answer is A, keratin, melanin, and hemoglobin. For the keratin, which is different from keratin is the protein which used for like a waterproof layer of your skin. That is the most important component of your epidermis. Your epidermis are made with a keratinocyte. Remember that those keratinocytes are filled with keratin, protect your skin from losing water, and that is a keratin. And okay, so those are the pigments. Right, so that is the skin. That what we just talked about is the skin part. But for the integumentary system, it includes the skin, which is the largest organ of your body. But at the same time, it also contains those appendage or accessory of the skins. Those appendage includes hairs and hair follicles, and also your nail and like sweat gland and oil gland, we call it sebaceous gland. All those together form your integumentary system. Okay, all the other appendage are the other organs. Okay, so start from the hair. The hair, well, you know what is a hair is, and you can pull out one of the hair right now. Just pull out one hair from your head or your body, and what you see, the most of the shaped part, the long part outside your skin that is shaped, and most of them are keratin. That is keratin. They are just a hard keratin, and they were made with a dead cell as well. It's just very similar to your epidermis. So in those hairs, we just make new hair cells at the bottom, at the follicle, and push them up. New cells are made, and old cells are pushed up. And those old cells push up and far away from the blood vessels, less nutrient they get. And from that, they just become dead cells filled with the keratin only. Okay, so those keratin are more durable than the soft keratin of your skin because the structure of the organization will be different. But where do you have the hairs on your body? Almost everywhere. The hair on humans are like the fur of the animal, so it's just body hair of the fur, that's the same thing. Okay, but however, a few places on your body do not have hair. The palm, the sole, lip, nipple. Okay, those places do not have hairs, and just make it more sensitive, especially for those places. You can touch, you can feel. If you have hair there, it just blocks those interaction with the environment. Okay, so what are the hairs for? First, for all your body hair, it is a fur. It is a fur of the animal, and we just call it body hair since we are human, but these are the same thing. So it gives you a warm feeling, isolate you from the environment. Okay, and so it just prevents from the hair loss, and also it protects you. It gives you kind of a small blanket on top of you, so protect you, and also protect you from from sunshine. So the sunlight will not go through. It's also a layer of like sunscreen, but it's more physical. Okay, and in fact, it's also important if a bug just land on your skin. A small bug, insect land on your skin, you will feel it because those hair, if you see this here, okay, on the hair root, this part, there's a lot of yellowish fiber here. Those yellow fibers are our nerve, and every time if this hair get bent by an insect, and then those nerve will receive those information, and then you just know there's some insects on your skin, and then you can kill it just because you feel it. Okay, and the hair have a pigment on it as well, and different people have different colors of hair. All those hair, if it's natural, not by your dye. Okay, so that's natural hairs come from the melanin organ. Melanin, most of your pigment in your body. Your hair, your skin color, lip color, okay, all those are from the melanin. Okay. In different people, they just have different combination of this melanin, and all this give you a hair color. When you look at the whole here, the part outside our skin is the hair shaft, and the one inside our skin have an enlarged end. If you have your own hair at your hand, you can see it have a large enlarged end. That is a hair bulb part, and this hair bulb located inside your skin. It's more like most of them is in the dermis layer, and it's wrapped up with the epidermal and the dermal cells together to layer wall. And those structures is called hair follicle, and this hair follicle is a place to give our hair nutrients and also sense the sensory just coming from the hair. So the hair bulb, this part of the hair bulb, go to the deep end of the dermis and wrap up with the follicle, and you can see there's a different receptor on it. Nerve just tied to it will sense what happened on top of the hair. Okay. In fact, the hair itself do not have sensor. If you just touch it here or pull it out, it doesn't feel pain or anything. But however, if you bend it, you will sense the movement of the hair root. Just feel the movement here, not really here. Okay. So that is the hair, and the matrix is located here, and that is placed to keep on actively dividing area, just produce new hair cells and push those hair cells up. New cells push up, and the far away it comes from this blood vessel, it just get less nutrients, and it will become a dead cell filled with keratin, just like our skin. Okay. And on this here, you can see there's a tiny small muscle here. This tiny muscle. This muscle connects your hair root to the epidermis. This muscle is erector pili, and this muscle, if it contracts, remember all the muscle will contract if it get excited. What is contract? It just becomes shortened. Okay. If this piece of muscle contract, so what happened is just pull this hair and make it erect. That's how when you feel cold or your hair stand up, it's because the erector pili just contract, make the hair stand up. And also you see there's a small spacious gland here. It's always at the hair root. The spacious gland, also called oil gland, secret oil to your hair, to your skin, to protect your skin. And every time if you feel cold, those erector pili will just contract, push the hair, become straight erection position, and also the spacious gland will kind of push to the surface of our body. So that's the time when you get the goosebump. The goosebump is because the spacious gland is pushed up to the cell surface, to the skin surface, and by this erector pili. Okay. This is smooth muscle. Remember when we see the skeletal muscle, smooth muscle, and the cardiac muscle, 3 different muscle tissues. Smooth muscle is involuntary. Remember that? Involuntary muscle, which cannot be controlled by your conscious. So cannot be controlled by your conscious control. So which means your hair erection, you cannot control it by your conscious control. Can you just sing, hey, here, stand up? Cannot really do that. Okay, so that is the erector pili, small muscle here. Okay, and at the bottom, this small papilla again. Okay, or here, small indentation over the hair. That is a place called a hair papilla. Okay, this papilla is a place to locate. See this? different the different capillary vessel here. So that is a small capillary loop, and at that location you get nutrients unload, and this nutrient will just give it to the hair and take those waste away. So that's a place for the blood supply of our hair. Okay, so that is our hair follicles, and if you pull out a hair, what you see is this part. Okay, it's just a hair part. So all those hair in our body, you have body hair, and you also have your hair on your head. Okay, so that gives you different type of hair as well, like the one for the vellus hair. Those are the fine body hairs, pale body hairs of children and female, and terminal hairs are the ones that more long and coarse of your like a scalp and eyebrows. Those are the terminal hair. Okay, and also at the puberty, you will start having new terminal hairs appear in under armpit, axillary, and also pubic region of both sexes. And also for males, you start have to have your beard, and that is the terminal hair as well. Okay, those are the thick and coarse long hairs. Okay, so for those different hair, depends on the location. They have different lifespan and the rhythm they grow. Okay, depends on the nutrition and also hormone. Just make the hair grow at different speed. Your hair of your head just keep on growing, but your eyebrows normally stop growing after a while. Okay, just have a different cycle in our hair follicles to make sure there's an active phase, just make sure the cell keep on growing, and a regressive phase to make the cell stop growing. Okay, and that is our hair. Another appendage of our skin is the nail. Nail here. You can look at your nail right now. What you have is a very hard piece of a protein. Okay, it's still protein. That is a keratin. Again, it's keratin. The scale-like modified of the epidermis, and they are keratin cells, just like the keratinocyte make new cells go out, and those cells will die and become just keratin itself. Okay, so it protects your fingertip, protect the distal dorsal surface of finger and toes, fingertip and toe tip. Okay, and that is made with a keratin again, and it grew at the nail matrix here, and just generate new keratin to that surface to push your nail go out. Okay. And also on our skin, we see in our skin there's a glands. Different glands secrete different things. This picture we already see it in our lab. Okay, remember there's a 3 different type of a gland. So the holocrine, apocrine, and merocrine. Those 3 different glands, just by function, you will see those 3 different types of glands. Okay, the merocrine send secretion by the exocytosis. The small bubbles, vesicles carry those sweat or the different secretion to the surface of our body and release it. So the cell from beginning to the end, the cell itself do not change. And holocrine and apocrine are the ones that have those secretions concentrate inside the cell first, and holocrine will rupture when you need those secretions, and apocrine will just rupture half of it, just release some fragment into the part you need to secrete and send those secret out. So by the function, by the way they secret things out, we have those different type of a gland. If you are not familiar with this information, you need to review your gland part in the epithelial tissue chapter. Okay, so those are the glands, and in our body we have two different glands. One is a sweat gland, the other is oil gland. Okay, so the sweat gland, what you see is here. Okay, this is our sweat gland. So look up, this sweat gland are in our skin and not connect with our hairs. Okay, most of your sweat glands on your bodies are separate from the hair pores. Okay, think about your palm. Do you have any hairs on your palm? Palm have no hairs. Okay, but however, do you sweat from your palm? Yes, I sweat a lot from palm, from my hand. Okay, so that is a sweat gland. The hair and sweat gland are not together in most of your body. Okay, the sweat gland, also called a pseudoreferous gland. Pseudoreferous gland. Okay, I require you have to recognize this. If I say pseudoreferous gland, you know it's a sweat gland. Okay, so this gland is almost everywhere on your skin. Okay, all skin surface except like a nipple or external genitalia. Most of other part of your skin have sweat gland. Every person we may have 3 million of sweat gland on your skin. Okay, so those are the pores. You see the small pores? That's a sweat gland, which is in between of the hairs. Okay, so there's two different sweat glands on our body. One is eccrine. That is one type of merocrine, so a secret sweat by the exocytosis, just secret by the vesicle. And another is apocrine sweat gland. Apocrine are the one that will secret by fragment. Remember, that's the apocrine and eccrine. Okay, so these two different glands secret sweat to our skin surface, and these two different glands have different functions. Normally for the eccrine, it's important for temperature regulation, and apocrine we believe is for the sexual attraction. Okay, and in our body there's in our glands, in our sweat gland here, okay, there's some myoepithelial cells. Myo for muscle. So those cells will be controlled by our nervous system. So if you need sweat, so the small muscle cells, well, in fact it's not really muscle tissue, we call it myoepithelial cell because glands are epithelial tissues. Okay, so those myoepithelial cells will be stimulated by your nervous system, and if you need to release sweat, those cells will kind of squeeze the sweat out of the sweat gland. Okay. The eccrine sweat gland in your body are most common, most numerous, it's almost everywhere, especially on your palm, on your shoulders, and the forehead. As seen in this picture, what you see, this is sweat gland, and also this here get cut, but you can see that sweat gland, the eccrine sweat gland, is separate from the hair, and the duct will empty direct to the skin through the sweat pore. Those eccrine sweat glands are important for the thermal regulation. It regulates your blood temperature. Remember when we see if the blood temperature go up and you start to sweat, and then that's time the sweat will vaporize and then take the heat away from your body. Those are come from the eccrine sweat gland. Eccrine is for the thermal regulation because it's all over your body. Okay, and a secret sweat, which is more like water. Most of the sweat are water from the eccrine sweat gland. Okay, the eccrine sweat gland are regulated by your nervous system. It's a sympathetic nervous system, so it regulates, and every time it's an involuntary control, and if your body temperature increase, the nervous system will just make you have more sweat secret. Okay, and in those sweat is transparent, more like a water, more like a solution, and together with some metabolic waste. Okay, and that is the acrine sweat gland. The other sweat gland is the apocrine sweat gland. So by the function, by the way it secretes, just form some fragment, and those secretion will go out together with the fragment. That makes the secretion, the secret sweat, will have the sweat in it together with some fatty substance and also protein. So that makes those sweat normally not really transparent. It may become milky or yellowish, and those apocrine sweat glands are normally located under the armpit, axillary, or pubic area. Okay, so those are the places have an apocrine sweat gland. When do you start to have those places start to sweat? Okay, those sweat glands normally develop together with your hair on those locations. Okay, it's larger than apocrine gland. It's normally those ducts. They do not pour directly onto the skin. They pour into the hair follicle first. So it those glands become active together with your hair growing on those areas, which is during your puberty. Okay, so so far we still don't know exactly what are those sweat glands for, but we believe that in those fatty substance or protein there, they may serve as a scent for sexual attraction. Okay, and for all the glands that can secrete with this way, just have some fragment out. They are all apocrine sweat. They are all apocrine gland, and the apocrine sweat gland is the one just secret sweat. Use the apocrine mechanism. Okay, there's other apocrine glands like the one secret your earwax from inside your ear, and also the one that secret milk in the mammary gland. So all those are the apocrine glands. Okay. So it's very important to distinguish the acrine and apocrine gland. Acrine is for thermoregulation, and apocrine is only confined on the axillary and also the pubic area. Okay, so here is one story. We talk about this apocrine gland. Where is it? Armpit, right? It's under armpit. Well, it's believed that a few hundred years ago, maybe just 200 years ago, not too far away. Okay, in Austria, there's a tradition called use a love apple. Love apple. That is said for the ladies who will go to a ball party. Before the dance, she will put a slice of apple under her armpit. Okay, after all the dance, the apple will get soaked by the sweat from the apocrine of her. Okay, so that is armpit, so that's the apocrine. Once those apple is soaked, and after the party is end, and she will just bring this apple, this sweat-soaked apple, to a guy that she likes most during this party. And if this guy likes the lady as well, he will eat this apple. And well, that's a lovely love story, and that tell you apple cream. Just think about the apple put the apple under arm. That is the apocrine sweat gland. And think about it's a love story, and we believe that the apocrine is maybe important for the sexual attraction. Okay, hope that helped you to remember the apocrine gland and compare with the acrine gland. That's for the thermoregulation. So another gland of our skin is the oil gland, but in fact it do secrete some oil-like secretion, but we normally call it a sebaceous gland. Sebaceous gland, And where you can find the sebaceous gland is always with your hair. It's attachment or a appendage of the hairs. So there's are the sebaceous glands, and those glands always come with the hair together. So that make if there's no hair, there's normally no sebaceous gland. Like for your palm, for your sole of your foot, those places have no sebaceous gland. So since those sebaceous glands will secrete the sebum, that's what we call the oil, the sebum, into your hair follicle. So those things will lubricate your hair as well as your skin, because your hair kind of distribute those oil, those sebum on top of your skin. Normally, is for all the oil gland, all the sebaceous gland are normally inactive until puberty, and that's the time you start to have acne and everything, because your sebaceous gland start become active at that time, stimulated by hormone. Okay, so those are the sebaceous gland. The sebum is oil like suspend, and that's it's very important to lubricate your skin. Okay, it will lubricate your hair, and at the same time, it's also used to kill bacteria on top of the skin. It's called bactericidal, and kill and protect your body. Okay, and it also soften your hair and skin, so that will protect your skin in another way as well. If it go too dry, your skin will get damaged very quickly. Okay, so the sebum secreted by the sebaceous gland help to protect your skin. Please make sure that you are able to distinguish the sebaceous gland and the pseudoreferous gland. Pseudoreferous gland is a sweat gland, and the sebaceous gland is the oil gland. Okay. Alright, so think about the whole integumentary system. So far we learned every single organ in the integumentary system already. So for all the integumentary system, what do? They protect your body. Okay, it's the skin and the things on the skin. So it's a cover your whole body up and protect your body. It form a few barriers, like physical barriers, chemical barriers, and biological barriers. Physical barriers like the epidermis form those waterproof layers and prevent things go in and out of your body. Okay, chemical layers like there's different antibody and different things, chemicals inside your skin to kill the bacteria and the virus, and also the biological barriers. You have those white blood cells inside your skin to protect you from the microorganism, from the environment. Okay, and that's for the protection function of the integumentary system. Okay, and the second function is the body temperature regulation. Just protect your body and keep your body temperature at the relatively steady condition. Okay, remember when we talk about the homeostasis, our body temperature just keep in a very narrow range. If it go up, then you start to secrete sweat. Sweat are mostly water. It will just vaporize and take heat away from your body. That is homeostasis, and that will just make your body temperature reduce and back to normal. And if you have a low body temperature, then the blood vessel inside your skin will constrict to prevent the heat go into the environment. And at the same time, the hairs will stand up and form kind of an insulation from the environment and you. Okay, so your skin is very important to regulate body temperature. And the third thing is for the sensation. You have so many nerves, nerve ending, and different sensory receptors in your skin, and all those give you sensation and collect different stimuli from the environment and send them to your brain. Then you can just do different response in response to the stimulus, to use to control different part of the body to either just go away from the danger, or just go to like a reward part. Okay, so those are the sensations. And the fourth thing here is a metabolic function. The metabolic function of your integumentary system, most important part of it is to synthesize vitamin D. VD is synthesized in your skin. Okay, you need UV to start this synthesization and just make you have this vitamin D. And what is vitamin D for? Why do you need vitamin D? Okay, vitamin D is very important for your body to get calcium, to store calcium, to use calcium. Okay, if you don't have vitamin D, kind of just lose calcium, so it will just make the person have a very soft bone. Okay, so that's the very important function of the skin. And also the skin is a part to store blood. Like 30% of your blood is stored in the skin. Okay, if you need them, for example, when you are get fear, just get afraid, and then your skin kind of turn pale immediately because all the blood go into your muscle to make you ready to fight or just run away. Okay, so those are the places they store it in your blood vessel of your skin. And the last function of your skin is excretion. For example, when you sweat, you take water out of the body, and at the same time you get those metabolic waste from your body as well. Okay, in fact, your sweat is just like diluted urine. It's very similar to urine, but just not so concentrated. Okay. Alright, so those are the function of the integumentary system, and let's see a few questions here. The most important role of the eccrine sweat gland is? The answer is C. Body temperature regulation. Eccrine is very important for body temperature regulation. Okay, because most of the sweat are water, and it just take away the heat from the body after the vaporization. Okay. Right. Next question. Loss of one's skin, such as with severe burns, lead to an increased risk of all of the above. This question asks you about skin function. If somebody get a severe burns, then just this piece of skin will have they will become not functional, and in that condition, the people may get infection, and maybe the body temperature cannot maintain, and also at the same time the dehydration. Okay, all those are the skin functions. On our skin, most of the skin tumors are benign, which means those are not cancerous. What is the difference between a tumor and cancer again? Tumor are those uncontrolled mitosis, dividing cell, uncontrolled divide, and they just form a accumulation of cell, a pile of cell there. Okay, as long as they stay on the same location, we normally call it a tumor. And once it starts to spread, call it a metastasize. This condition is metastasis. And once it starts to spread out, once the tumor as a fruit, if it get mature and spread out, that is called a cancer. In that condition, those cancer cells just go to another location, and it just used as a seed. And at that location, once it settles down, it just become another new tumor. So that's very dangerous. Just one tumor separate into different cells, go all over the body, And at that condition, so we just cannot tell where exactly every cell is, and it cannot clean up all those cancer cells once it start to spread. Okay, so for all our skin tumors, especially for the cancers, is normally due to UV radiation. If you have too much UV, the first layer, the first shell of your body is your skin. All the UV goes through your skin first. So if you have overexposure to UV, and your skin may get a skin cancer. And also sometimes because of the irritation of the skin, the patient may get skin cancer as well. Okay. So there are 3 different major types of skin cancer. Once we call it cancer, those are the spreading ones. Okay. So the basal cell carcinoma, squamous cell carcinoma, and melanoma, as the 3 pictures shows here. Okay. The basal cell carcinoma, so the one here, this is the most common and least malignant, normally coming from the stratum basale cell. So those cells proliferate and slowly invade to the dermis and also hypodermis, so may go deep. But however, because it goes slowly and the spreading is slow, so as long as you can cure it and just cut those tissue off, in most of the cases, those cancer can be cured. Okay. And the second one is a squamous cell carcinoma, like showing this picture here. Okay. That's a second most common type of the 3 different skin cancers, and that normally involved in the keratinocyte of the stratum spinosum. That's a second deep layer. Okay, and that second deepest layer of the epidermis, those cells will start to divide and become a cancerous tumor, and that's normally just form kind of reddened patula here on either scalp, ears, or hand, lip, and it do spread, metastasize, but the thing is, it spread slowly, and normally they can be treated by radiation therapy or just remove it because it's kind of goes slow as well. But the most dangerous one is melanoma. Melanoma is a cancer come from the melanocyte. Okay, it's melanocyte cancer, and those normally form a big black pigment because it's a duplication of a melanoma. Okay, that's the most dangerous one. Least common, most dangerous. Okay, and in those melanoma, it's normally highly metastatic, and also it's resistant to the chemotherapy. Okay, and they normally have ABCD rules for this type of cancer. If it's A, symmetry, so the 2 sides of those pigment area do not match. It's not really a perfect. It's not perfect round shape. Okay, and B, the B for border, the border irregulatory, so it's not a smooth border, and C for color. If it have more than one color, there's a black, brown, tan, different colors together, and D for diameter. If it's larger than 6 millimeters, like a pencil eraser, so that normally it's a melanoma instead of like a freckle. Okay, so those are the melanoma. For the 3 different skin cancer, our requirement is which one is the most common, which one is the most dangerous. Okay, and the structure, which cell it comes from. Okay, basal cell carcinoma is from the basal cell. Squamous cell carcinoma is from the second deep layer. That's a stratum spinosum, and the melanoma is from the melanocyte. Okay, I don't really ask you to diagnose it. Okay, but however, you need to know the difference between these 3 different skin cancer. all of them is due to UV overexposed most of the time. All the skin cancer come from the UV. Okay, but think about which one is most common, which one is most dangerous. Okay. Alright, so that is a skin cancer. And another common skin disorder or abnormal condition is the burns. Okay, the burns are very common. You have get burns before. Okay, everyone get burns before. All those damage, all those tissue or skin damage because of heat, hot water, or maybe just grill. Okay, and also electricity, radiations, sunburn. That's a radiation, and also like chemicals. I don't know whether you just have ever go to a chemical lab. There's acid, there are alkaline, and those may give you a burn. Okay, all those burns just denature our protein. Remember, protein can be denatured because of pH, because of heat. Okay, after those protein get denatured, the cell die, and that's how those tissues start to become redness or even start to form a blister. Okay, all those are the burns. For the burns, the most immediate threat is, remember where the burns hurt? Skin. It hurts the skin. Okay, so once the skin get hurt and get damaged, and the first thing is the skin function become abnormal. So the most immediate threat is come from the dehydration and also the electrolyte imbalance. Skin is very important to prevent the water inside to prevent the water go out of your body. Remember, it's a waterproof layer. Okay, if there's a large area of body surface get burns, and then those water will vaporize quickly to the environment, then the body will get dehydrated. And at the same time, if those water get out, then what's left in your body are those ions, are those electrolytes. Then that will form those hypertonic solution in your body, and that may lead to your different cells just shrink. Remember that? So those are the electrolyte imbalance. All those will change your blood pressure and may lead to your renal shutdown and also the circulatory shock. All those will just kill or just give you the fatal threat. Okay, it's coming from just from a burn. And those burns don't need to be very it doesn't need to be very deep, but if you have a large area, it will just give this threat to the patient. Okay, so to evaluate burns, those you need to know it. Okay, one is by the area. You can calculate how much the burns get damaged, how much the body get damaged. That's use a rule of nines. Rule of nines. That is very important to estimate the volume of a fluid loss. Okay, because the area is very important for the hydration level. So if the larger burns it goes through, the more fluid it will get lost. Okay, and another evaluation is to use a depth. Okay, just see the severity to tell how deep the burns go through, how much tissue is damaged. Okay. So first is a rule of nines. How will you calculate? How will you calculate the surface, the number of the body get burns? Okay, we use a rule of 9. We kind of divide the body. See, I prefer this picture here. Okay, see this picture here. We divide the body to different parts, and these are the two views of the body. This is anterior view, and the other side is a posterior view. Okay, so the anterior show you the face, first part of your face, and the posterior part of the head, well, not face. So head, anterior head, and posterior of the head together is a 9% of your body. Okay, and the front part of your chest is another 9%. The upper part of your back, which is the back of your chest, that's another 9%. Belly is 9%, and the lower back is 9%. Okay, and the arm anterior is half of the 9%, that's a 4.5, and the bacterior is another 4.5. So the whole leg, not leg, the whole arm, the forearm and the arm together with your hand. The upper limb, one upper limb, count as 9% of your body area. Okay, so all those together is 9%. There's 11 parts, 9%. Head and the limbs. Okay, leg have 9%. The anterior part is 9%. Posterior of your leg is 9%. All those is 11 part, and also the pubic area is a 1%. Together, add together, you get a 100%. Okay, 100% of the body area. So you can estimate how much of the body get burned, get damaged just by the area. So you can roughly estimate those percentage. Use a rule of nines. Okay, so that is to measure the area, how much get damaged. Or we see measure the dehydration, how much fluid get lost. Because if you measure the area, you will know how much there's place for the threat of the dehydration. Okay, and another burns classification is by the how deep the damage goes through. Okay, here is another picture of your skin. You see so many pictures like this today. Okay, so the top part is epidermis and the dermis, and also you have those hypodermal, which is not the skin but below the skin. Okay, so for the sometimes you see first degree burns or partial thickness burns. It didn't go through the whole skin. Okay, if it's partial thickness burn, it's a part of the skin. First degree only hurt the epidermal only. Okay, like a sunburn, it's just very superficial sunburn. Get a little bit redness. Okay, you do have some swelling sometimes, and it's painful for sure. If you get sunburn, it's painful. But however, it will just go away within 1 or 2 days for the slightly just superficial sunburns. Okay, it just burns the first epidermal layer, only the epidermal layer. Okay, that's first degree. Second degree go a little bit deeper, but not the whole epidermal. It go into the epidermal layer, but only part. So that is called partial thickness. Okay, normally call it partial thickness and deep. Okay, that's a second degree. And in that condition, normally you will see blister. If you see blister, that's a second degree. Okay, and if it goes deeper, the whole skin get damaged, and those we call the full thickness, or we see third degree burns. Third degree burns just cover the whole entire skin, both epidermal and dermal layers. Okay, the entire thickness skin get damaged, and in that case, the skin will kind of turn gray-white and red. And well, it can be a good thing or maybe worse thing is for the patient like that, they don't feel pain because the nerve ending get damaged. Where is the nerve at? The dermis. The nerve are at the dermis layer, and the dermis layer all get damaged, so there's no painful sense sent to our brain. So the patient will just not feel pain, but however, it's a very deep burns. Okay, that's a third degree. Normally for those kind of burns, the patient need a skin transplant, skin grafting. Okay, right. And sometimes you see the force burns as well if it go deep and you can see the bones. Those are the fourth degree. Okay, right. So for the different level of burns severity, okay, if the body there's some critical numbers, well, we don't really require you to remember those just for your information. Okay, so the criticals, if there's more than 25% of body have second-degree burns, or like 10% of body have third-degree burns. Okay, so put the area and the burns depth together. Okay, and if it's a face, hand, or feet have those third-degree burns, all those will just become fatal. Okay, and the treatment first remove those damaged parts. We call it debridement. Okay, and those burned skin will get removed, and you use antibiotic on it to kill and prevent infection. Okay, and also you need to cover it. Also, although there's a lot of burns and you want the local become cool, but however, you need to cover it to prevent the water loss and also temperature loss. And at the end, normally the people will need a transplant of the skin. Okay, so those are the burns. That's how we treat it. Okay, and in fact, for no matter it's a burn or it's a cut on the skin, and even other part of your body, if the tissue gets damaged, our body will repair it by its own. Okay, so especially if it's on the skin, then that skin is our body's barrier. So if those barrier get damaged, we need to heal it as soon as possible to prevent those other things go into our body. Okay, so first you need to generate new cells, and you need to divide and migrate to the damaged place to fill those blanks. Okay, normally there's two major ways. In fact, we already learned it in overlaps. Okay, so one is a regeneration. If those tissue are able to regenerate, for example, your epidermal layers, okay, the same kind of tissue will just replace the damaged one. The damaged one will be cleaned up. So what you get is a new piece of tissue, like epidermal layer, new skin. Okay, and the original function will restore. But however, in sometimes if the damage go too large or too deep, that your body cannot fix it by its own, and those tissue will replace by fiber, and those type of repair is called fibrosis. Fibrosis use connective tissue to replace those destroyed tissue. Okay, once it's replaced by the connective tissue, what you get is just a scar. The scar do not have a function as the original tissue. It just take the place, that's all. But however, it will not, if it's a scar on the heart, it will not contract. If it's a scar in the brain, it will not think. If it's a scar on the skin, it will just not will have a hair out of it, and it will not sweat, it will not secrete oil, and it doesn't even have the sense on it. Okay, so those are the scar, those are the fibrous way to repair a tissue. So those are the two different destiny or two different way to repair a tissue. Depends on how bad the damage is and what type of tissue get damaged. Okay, so in our body, as we grew when we were young, our body can just repair it quickly, but as we aged, then those replacements, those epidermal renewal will slow down, and skin become thin and not so elastic, and become dry because all the activity, like sebaceous gland activity, will get decreased. Okay, it's all because of aged, and also the subcutaneous fat, and also the elasticity of the skin will also decrease. That's the time. That's why the elder person just cannot resist the cold, and they start to have wrinkles, all because of the tissue get reduced, and the tissue size and also the cell numbers reduce inside the skin or below the skin. Okay, and because the decreased number of melanocyte and dendritic site, and the risk of cancer will increase, and also the hair will lost more and hair will thin, and all those is a is a is a result of age. Okay. Well, but normally, although we cannot stop the time to fly, we cannot stop the time. But as long as you have good nutrition and you just have a good hydration and hygiene and protect yourself from UV, you can just delay the process, make it a little bit slower than others. Okay, just protect yourself as long as you protect all the tissue there. Okay. All right. At the end, let's see one question here. Which of the following type of skin cancer is the most dangerous? The answer is melanoma. Melanoma is the most dangerous skin cancer. Basal cell carcinoma, the A, is the most common skin cancer, but the least dangerous. Okay, squamous cell carcinoma are in between. Alright, so this is for today, and see you next week.